Hello students, let's start with functions. After this video, you will be able to answer what are functions, why use functions, how to use them, how to write one, what are the types. A function is a group of statements that perform a specific, well-defined task. Every C program has at least one function which is main. A function is also referred as a method, a subroutine, or a procedure. Programmers can define additional user-defined functions where each function performs a specific task. Now, why to use a function? The few advantages are reusability, better readability. Because of reusability, the length of source program can be reduced. Getting into small pieces of the main program improves debugging and testing with maintenance. Writing a function needs definition of a function, declaration of a function, and calling a function. The definition of function provides the actual body of the function. Declaration of function tells compiler about the function name, the return type, and the parameters. Calling a function is where you call a function for execution with its function name, the return type, and the parameters. Let's discuss the syntax of a function. Return type, the function name, and the parameter list. The return type can be void, float, int, char, double, etc. The function name is the actual name of the function, whereas the parameter lists are when a function is called, you pass a value to the parameter. This value is referred as the actual parameter or the arguments. Parameter list refers to type, order, and number of parameters in the function. Parameters are optional, that is, a function may contain no parameters. Function name and parameter list together constitute the function signature. Now, if I write down this as return type, function name, and parameter list can be the declaration of the function. Now, with the curly brackets or the curly braces, we write down in between, we can write down the statements, or it's also called as the body of the function. The whole becomes the syntax of the definition of the function. This will be more clear with an example. Now, here we have written a program to add two numbers using function. We start with hash include stdio.h. Now, float, sum, float x, float y. This is the function declaration. What is float? It's a return type. What is sum? Is the function name. And what are the parameters? they are x and y. What are the types of the parameters? That is float type. Now this complete tells, that is declaring that the function is written named sum after somewhere after the main program or the main function. Next, we have int main. Means a main is again a function with a return type of integer. With curly braces, we start with the main function. Float result num1, num2. This is where we have declared 3 variables, as in 2 for numbers and the third one for the result. Printf, enter the 2 numbers for submission. Scanf, %f. This is for we have declared the numbers, the num1 and the num2 as float types, and so got to accept the numbers from the keyboard through %f. The result is equal to sum num1, num2. Now here is where we are calling the sum function. Calling the sum function with 2 arguments, num1 and num2, which are again float types. In return from the function, we are going to have the float type return, that is the result. And so after that we print the sum of 2 values, that is float and the float, which is num1 and num2, will be the result. Why have we returned return 0? As the main function's return type is int, and so we need to return 0. Now, when the main function is been executed by the compiler and it reaches to sum num1, num2, that is the function is been called, the complete execution control moves to the function definition of sum, where we have written float sum, float x, float y. Isn't it very similar to that of function declaration? The only difference is here we have declared the function, and whereas here we are defining the function, what job it has to do. In the function definition with the curly braces, we write down float z, as in we need a variable to store the result, and z is equal to x plus y. So the job is done for submission. The return z is where it is going to return the value stored in the z variable, which is of float type, and the return will be where there it is, the function has been called. The result will store the return value of z, and so will be the execution. The same function definition can also be written as shown here. Just neglect this particular part and let's consider only float sum, float x, float y, and these 2 curly braces within return x plus y. Now here we haven't defined float z, as in to store something for the result. We need not do that here, as in what is going to be returned is return x plus y, the result itself of addition of 2 numbers will be returned to the main function or the function where it has been called. So the result ultimately for addition of x and y or num1 and num2 will be stored in the result parameter. these are the two ways where we can write down the function definition. In the next video, we will be going through with the different parameters, that is the actual parameters, the dummy parameters, as well as the types of functions.